Many questions on your mind, searched all around, but you couldn't find. Here's a program that's made for you, so your faith can be renewed. Oh, we know easy, yes we know, but you gon' make 'em for sure. We'll become the saints in jeans and shirt. CFFONTV on TV.
We have all heard the popular age-long saying, time waits for no one. So, that makes us ask the question, what do we do with our time? And more importantly, how do we manage our time? Today, you must have guessed it, we're talking about time management. And with me, as always, I have two important guests in the house. Father, I don't know. Should I keep introducing you?
No, you shouldn't.
You all know Father J. Father J is here. And we have another very interesting looking young man, Mr. Chuks Sunesis Ogene.
I'm happy to be here.
Welcome, happy to have you here. So today we're going to dig in and talk about time management. I'm sure you have important points to make. So don't go anywhere, stay with us, and we'll be right back after this short break.
CFFONTV on TV.
Welcome back. If you're just tuning in, you're watching Catholic Faith Forum, and I'm your girl, May, as always, and we're talking about time management. Okay, so let's get into the gist of the day. Okay, so Mr. Chuks, what is time management?
Okay, I'll answer this from a very personal perspective.
Okay, that's good.
How my career has been and how life has been with me. So I noticed that in time management, all we're trying to achieve is help events and projects and the things that are happening clock in at when they are supposed to,
Okay.
so that it keeps the whole process flowing, and then you get the desired result. Now, being a creative, it means that I get the opportunity to multitask, and so you're handling different projects all at once
At the same time.
trying to make sure that everything comes together. But then if one gets off track, it
Everything
has a
else.
ripple effect on the others. And so you don't want that. You want to manage that process so that as much as possible, the projects that get off track remain, or they don't really happen. Those
Okay.
off track moments don't really happen.
So everything happens when it's supposed to.
Exactly, they'll happen when they're supposed to, and that way you get your maximum result. You know, life is not perfect.
Definitely.
But the whole process of time management is to make sure that thing runs smoothly and according to schedule, so that you get the kind of result that you want out of the overall big picture.
Nicely put. Okay, Father, why is time management important?
I think it's important because there are a few points that he raised. The idea of a process. If one understands that there's a process and that time cannot be either created nor supposedly destroyed, but it can be harnessed because it's always moving, it's always flowing. You can make the most of the moment. So that's what basically we're doing when we're managing time. We're trying to make the most of what we are afforded. It's a gift, it is free, it keeps going. There's no point where it stops, or there's no place where you say, okay, there's a break in transmission of time. No, you keep going. So you have to harness the duration you are afforded each day to do all that you wish to do within that specified time, if possible.
Okay.
So it's important that one is conscious that the time that you're given is limited, and what you can achieve within that time is also limited, but you can harness it to make the most of that time.
But I find it very difficult to actually manage time most of the time, especially in our society today, with so many things that are beyond our control. You have traffic, you have the weather.
Yes.
So how can we manage our time? What are the steps you can take to effectively manage our time?
That's a very tough question, I must be honest. And the reason why I say it's tough, there was a time we just used to have a certain number of hours for sleep, and a certain number of hours for work or for other things. With the advent of the internet, that changed drastically. It just disrupted. So sometimes you have a business that is even international, and you live in a different zone.
Yeah.
How do you even manage that process? That's
Across
why I
the
said-
time zones.
Yeah, across the time zone. As I said, it's such a difficult thing. But personally, for me, I still come back to the core of the project. Personally, for me, I still look at the what makes up this project I'm trying to do. right? What are the elements to come together, especially if it's an international project?
Okay.
Once it's an international project, I know that I cannot manage it the same way I manage my local projects. Their time zone over there is different from my time zone.
Yeah,
over here.
definitely.
But what I try to make sure, especially as a creative, is that you cannot rush creativity. If it's coming, it's coming. And I'll use creativity because creativity is a very difficult thing to manage.
True.
If you can manage creativity, the tendency for it to no longer be creativity is very high.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So that question becomes very complex for someone like me. Maybe if I'm a banker or a patrol attendant or
You can say, okay, you're working from this
driver,
time to this time.
yes,
It's very
driver, a
straightforward.
pilot, it's very straightforward. But when you're an artist or you're a designer or you have something to communicate visually, it's when the idea comes, that's when your time
Like you can do
starts.
something.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So for me, what I do to help that process is I try as much as possible to not be too active.
Can you explain that?
Okay. If I know that I have a project to deliver on a final project, maybe something has been commissioned, and then I start off. If I know that it will take me. If I just have an idea that if I actually put skill to it, it will take me just about maybe a day or two to finish it. I'd ask for 2 weeks.
So you don't get to rush the
So I
So I
process.
don't get to rush the process.
Exactly.
Because, like as I said, creativity comes in waves. So it's
True.
one layer upon another. So the first 2 days, I could probably knock off something good that meets your standard, but does not surpass my expectation. But the additional 1 week plus is for me to find out if there's
A better way
a
you could
better
do
way
it.
to do that, right? And then the extra, the couple of extra days after that is to finish up and then present something. Even with that, still there's been a few defaults. However, I found that that's a better way to manage the process. So you can do something like, especially if you're a creative professional,
Yes.
you can do something like 3 hours. Ask for a few more hours. Ask for a whole day if you can get it. If the person wants it instantly and urgently, you would have to rely on your experience to be able to deliver very fast, and you know what works and what doesn't work. Remember, it's still a creative process.
Yeah.
It's not logic. It's not 1 + 1 = 2. In creativity,
So it has to flow.
It has to flow, but you must manage yourself. I would call it personal time management rather than overall. So manage. You should know how you manage your personal
Time.
the things that you have to do to get to that point that will make you deliver the way you know you ought to deliver. Because as a creative, you know that you are only as good as your last work.
Nice.
So you don't want anything to tamper with that last work. As much as clients don't always understand that, right? You need to look for that meeting point. Some clients, if they really observe that you're consistent and you've mastered your thing very well, they would give you so much time. Just take your time. I came
Because I know you still
specifically for you.
give them something worth it.
Exactly. So I think that's another thing we need to add up. We need to
Yeah,
mention.
but before we go on with that, it's important to understand that each person knows what they are doing with their time.
Yes.
How time works for them,
For them.
and then they're able to suit themselves or acclimatize themselves to how time works. And for me, I live a more structured life.
I was good to ask
Yes,
you because
I live a more structured life. There are certain things that I must do as part of my day, and then other things fit in as the day goes.
So how do you manage your time?
I think first of all is to respect the fact that there is a regular life for me. We speak of a regular life, okay? Prayer, study, living together with other people in community, and then preaching. So those are the 4 pillars of my day, the 4 pillars of my life. And then all of this come to play at different points during the day, okay? I say my personal prayers, and then I pray with other people, my brothers in the community, or I say mass with the people, okay? So that has to be a part of how my day begins. And then there is study. There should be time for me to work. There should be time for me to build myself and equip myself for the ministry that I'm already in. And then finally, there is the time for me to rest, which is important.
Very
Okay,
important.
So one has to know when and how. things don't always go the way you expect them to, but eventually you have to find a way of balancing things.
So your day is more calculated than, let's say, his,
I think yes,
which
exactly. I don't have to do a lot of things. I need a day or two to get myself into the creative process. No. But even though, of course, sometimes it can happen where somebody says, okay, can you give us a talk on so and so? And I have to say, please give me a week's notice so that I have time to prepare, to fit that.
So you
into
don't
my
just give them
schedule.
something that...
Exactly. You also, and like you said, you're as good as your last work. You don't want to come there and start saying, oh, I'm sorry, I prepared this talk, but I prepared for children in the secondary school. I now realize that there's a gathering of professors. Nobody will take you seriously. They'll say, Father, as much as, with due respect, when people say,
with due respect, they're about to insult you seriously.
So with due respect, but this is not what we expect.
Yeah.
And it's true, they are true. They're correct in their judgment and assessment of you. So sometimes that could be a factor. You have to look at your time and say, how do I fit new things into my time without necessarily making a fool of myself?
Nice. So, Mr. Chuks, you mentioned earlier about things changing. So, are you saying that it was easier to manage time then than now in our current day society?
Life was slower. That's the truth.
Okay.
Life was slower. We're privileged to be in a generation that transcended from one epoch to another.
Yes.
All right.
I always speak of the pre-social media generation and the
Post-social
post-social
media
media generation.
Yeah.
We are somewhere in between. Yeah,
yes.
we know what life was without it, and then what life is now with it. Yeah,
so that has altered what we call culture. Culture is the way we live and do our things.
Yeah.
So now, because my phone is there is WhatsApp.
There's everything. Instagram, Facebook.
All my clients feel they now have my 24 hours.
They can see you and monitor you all through the day.
Exactly. If you're not picking their calls and you make a post on social media, I saw your post on social media.
You don't have time for my work, but we have time for posting things.
Do you get? And I bring that up again because as a creative, we work from our subconscious. We don't know we're doing it, but sometimes even in the sleep. I've finished up projects in my sleep. I've gotten inspiration from my sleep.
That can be really sad.
It is because, so you have people who work 9 to 5, right?
Yes.
But now you don't have that 9 to 5. You're a social media manager. If you're a social media manager, back then, if there was anything like a manager, you worked 9 to 5.
Exactly. And that's all.
That was all.
Your job was done.
Now you're a social media manager. It is 24 hours.
Anytime something interesting happens, you have to be on top of it.
The first to, So everything, we just still have 24 hours. But so something I wanted to mention, the first question you asked,
okay,
or the other question you asked me before this one. Something very powerful that I'm personally realizing right now in this season I'm in is the power to say no.
Okay.
We say so much yes, and I'm guilty of that because I try to be nice to people. But so in trying to be nice to people, it doesn't mean we should be mean to people. It just means in your niceness, in your doing good, consider yourself, your health
first and foremost.
And I started understanding this because I started sleeping about 4 hours per night. So I would wake up 3 a.m.
Okay.
Just so that I can get some of my me time before other people wake. I know most people wake up to pray and everything. I meditate a lot. And in simple language, it means I think a lot, right? And I don't think there's anybody who knows how the mind works very well beyond maybe people who understand spirituality better than after people who understand spirituality. It will most likely be creatives, people who are creatively aware, because they have to imagine first.
Their mind is very active.
It's extremely active.
We call it introspection and meditation.
Excellent.
Just need that silent time. That
silent
time
to be alone, and that's the time you zone out. You take out all the noise. That's when you can really distill what matters to you and what does not matter. What is a distraction and what is meant to be there. I even learned recently that a pleasing sound heard at the wrong time is noise. You get so. Yeah. I wake up early enough so that I can have that me time knowing that from 8 to 10, I will start to want to interact with other people. And I try to make sure that I don't book any meetings before 10.
Okay.
Still considering the fact that all my 24 hours is in demand. I had a client from Canada one time wanting to do some brand design and everything. And he was in a different time zone. I was working 2 a.m., 3 a.m. with him.
So you technically didn't have any me time at that time.
So after that experience, I learned the power of no. So you look at how everything's supposed to work and you say no, not because you don't want the job, not because you don't want. They also have to, there's a way you have to communicate that no too, right? And if they really want it, they need to come to your terms on that grounds. But think about it. The whole essence of time, I strongly believe that the whole essence of time management is for your health.
Sure.
Because the time is over once your life is done.
Exactly.
So what's the point?
Okay, thank you so much. Let's cut you here, unfortunately. We always take opinions of people from the streets about about every topic we do. So this is time management. Let's hear what people have to say about time management. Stay tuned. Don't go anywhere.
Catholic Faith Forum on TV.
You know, time is not something Africans are very good with, but I try as much as possible to culture my body. It's about culturing your body, taming your body, making your body get used to, you know, a particular system of doing things. It's when you walk your body to a particular system of doing things, your body naturally now, you know, sticks to that pattern. You know that you should, once it's 5, your body just, you know, tells the guy it's time to wake. When it's time to do this, so time management is something many Africans are very poor at. You set an event for maybe 2 o'clock. They'll tell you plus African time. You see people come by 3, 4. So it's something that Africans, because that is because they have not learned to culture themselves to that. So we need to culture ourselves. It's a serious something we need to work on seriously. But many people don't know. That's why you always keep feeling time.
It's very, very important you stick to what you have planned for, so that you won't be deviated from what you want to achieve. Because everything goes along with your set goals, so that you won't have any. Even if you have distraction, just make sure that you maintain and manage all issues, so that it will go in tandem with what you have budgeted that particular period for.
Okay.
Catholic Faith Forum on TV.
Welcome back. You've heard it, opinions from the streets. As always, people have interesting opinions about everything. So back to our conversation. Father, are there ways we can measure how effectively someone has managed their time?
Yeah, I think if you decide on a to-do list, a schedule, and you know that these are the things you wish to accomplish today, and you set out to do them after outlining them, and then at the end of the day you can say, okay, I outlined 5 things I wish to do, and I was able to do 4. Let's say 4 of them.
Okay.
You now say, okay, at least I was able to do something.
Yes.
Or you have 6 things on your list. Sometimes I think one of the biggest problems is to have too many things on your list,
Exactly.
and then at the end of the day you are not.
You can't
able to-
accomplish.
You have 10 things on your list and you only did 2. At the end of the day, you're more depressed. You're like, should I even keep a to-do list? It doesn't seem to be working for me. You hear people say it doesn't work for me. I think one of the biggest problems is we want to do so much
In so little time.
At the end of the day, we are depressed and discouraged. We don't wish to do that anymore.
Okay, so the to-do list will work for
That
us.
helps. A schedule.
Okay,
Keep a
so
schedule.
how do we deal with factors that distract us from this to-do list or from our schedule for the day? How do we deal with such things?
You must master self.
Okay.
You must understand what you are like. I can be in a very noisy place and still zone out. Alright? So even with all the distractions, I'm fine. I can still zone out. I can sleep if I want to sleep. I can. Right? You mentioned something during the break about rest. It's key. So my point is, first of all, identify what you are like. Know how your body system works. I notice I am like a sound engine between 3 a.m. and 10 a.m. From 12 noon, I start to clock down. I can't do very good work between 12 noon and 5 p.m. I don't know why, but I had to go do some Google research, and I found out it was actually a thing. We all have our biological clock.
So it works differently with
I
everybody.
learned that in school because we had to do a lot of reading, a lot of studying. So I remember complaining that I can't seem to finish most of my text before the next lecture. So a lecturer asked me, when do you study best? Is it morning or evening? I said, I like to do my studies at night, maybe somewhere between 8 and midnight, or 8 to 11 p.m. And then I can sleep and then wake up in the morning. I can do a quick review in the morning, but I can't do anything serious in the morning. So he said, that's the time for you to study.
Excellent.
So work from morning till say noon or 1 p.m. when we have lunch, and then take a nap.
Just rest.
Take a nap so that you're still alert when you wake up. So take a nap from 2 to 4, and then when you wake up, you're now fresh, you're refreshed, and then you can work. You can do some other things before your time for study, and then when you're done with your study, you can go back to sleep again.
Yeah, I think my clock has shifted because in school I used to sleep earlier, then wake up around 2-3 a.m. and read till like 6 a.m. and I was very active at that time, and it works for me.
It's fascinating we're saying body clock.
Yes.
It's time.
It's time, really.
It's that the body knows what time works well for it.
Exactly.
And you're right, it does move as you age.
Exactly. And of course, with more responsibilities
With more
too.
responsibility.
You have
Yeah.
more things to do. Definitely, you have so many things
It
are
just
now fitting
adjusts.
themselves into your time. So the adjustments
interesting.
need to be made. Yeah.
Okay, Father, how do we assess people who feel like they don't have time to pray? Is it a result of bad time management?
I think so. He mentioned mastering oneself. Mastering oneself means knowing those things that are important to you
Yes.
and according them that importance. So if you're a person of faith, you're a Christian, you're a Catholic especially, you know that there are times for you to pray, there are times for you to do things. You should stick to that schedule and do those things when you should do them.
Okay.
Yes.
Mr. Chuks, what role do you feel discipline plays in time management?
So let me talk about self-control. It's actually a fruit of the spirit. It's
Exactly.
amazing. It's amazing how much you can get out of the fruit of the spirit. It's amazing. But I don't know why we don't emphasize it so much. You know, maybe because we're much more interested in things that are extrinsic than intrinsic. Because the virtues
Possibly.
of the fruit of the spirit are much more intrinsic. They are much more about character. It's less about the other person and so much about
you.
We are more comfortable talking about the other person than talking about ourselves or dealing about it with our issues. So, but self-control is the answer to that question. You know, if you are able to, I like to put it this way. You know, self can get out of control. Self can get out of control. So we rope it in with self-control. My personality, my person is going to do that, and I restrain it, bring it back to order
With grace, that
with
is.
grace, of course, with grace. You know, so it's and because this is a faith channel,
Yeah.
it's an excellent opportunity to understand that it is God that causes you to will and to do
Okay.
His good pleasures. The things you really want to do in life, the things you really want to achieve in life, He has a way of, I like to put it this way, downloading the blueprints to you and giving you little nudgings,
Here and there.
which is where the prayer comes.
Yeah.
When we say prayer at all times, that's actually what it means. It just means keep a mind that is
Consciousness.
constantly conscious, ready to receive information from God. It tells you how to do it. It literally tells you when to sleep. There was a time I would literally feel a tap, wake up, 3 a.m.
Wow.
I don't use alarms. It just responds. It responds. If I decide that it's 2:15, I'm going to, it just comes up. If I'm going to miss it, maybe like 15 minutes, never much.
Well, let me give you something that's probably shocking to you. We believe in having guardian angels. We have guardian
Fine,
angels, and if I say I want to wake up at 4 a.m., I wake up at
You
4
wake
a.m.
up,
It just goes
just
on.
like that.
So it's just like a light bulb thing. So
Yeah.
I know for as a first-hand experience that yes, God always moves us. He moves us. He moves us to will what He wills. So if we're in tune with Him, then we can will what God wills and accomplish what He has already put us in the world to accomplish.
And that is possible because He created time.
Exactly. Created time.
Okay, so are there scriptural references to time management?
Well, the popular one that obviously comes to mind is that which Solomon said, there's a time and there's a season for everything.
Everything.
Ecclesiastes 3.
Yes.
Okay, so when we're talking about time management, it sounds like serious business. So
Sometimes it is.
should there be a time for fun or downtime in our schedules or our to-do lists and everything?
I will speak from a creative point of view. I don't think there's anything that makes creativity so enjoyable or so possible outside of fun. How I mean is there are times when you have a creative block, when it's not just flowing.
Yes.
At that point, you drop everything and you go and play. I tell my students whenever I'm training, because I do some training for some students, people who want to pick a career in design. I tell them, I'm like, the time it seems like it's not flowing anymore, drop it. Don't
Go do something else.
Go and play. Go and look for. In fact, if you can find children, mingle with them. At that point, somehow, your subconscious, which actually does 95% of our work, is it either 85 or 95% of our everything decision we make? Your subconscious starts working on that thing, but you're not aware, and then you now have that aha moment.
Exactly.
Aha!
Finally, it's here.
Finally, it's here. Then you go back to the work. You know.
But then it's always good to remember to go back to the work.
Yes, of course.
And not play and forget
Of
yourself.
course, don't play and forget yourself.
Okay, Father, do you think social media has a negative impact in time management?
I think
Has made people less productive or something?
Yeah, I think it's a very big. It's a beautiful tool. It's a welcomed gift, but it can also be a trap. When you build your whole time and your whole life around it, as soon as it goes ping, you want to see what's on it. As soon as some new message pops up, you want to read it. I think that's where there's going to be a problem. But if you realize that it's a tool that's supposed to help you achieve what you're supposed to achieve, then you allot it a certain time. That way, it helps you to use it more productively. You are more creative, and you can control it and control yourself too. You can say, okay, from this time to this time, I want to check this out. So I think social media should be used with purpose. Okay, what is it serving? So every other thing, just like everything we do, should be done with purpose. What is this going to achieve? What am I going to bring out of this? Okay, even the play should be purposeful.
Yes, purposeful.
Okay, I'm going out there hoping to have something to inspire me or make me feel relaxed so that I can come back to what I'm doing. So I think it's doing things with purpose.
A practical thing I can add to that is, so my phone, 95% of the time is on silence.
Okay.
It doesn't ring out.
So it doesn't distract you.
So it doesn't pull my attention. Because I realize that every conversation you have, you're welcoming newer ideas. And those ideas can distract you from where you were going. You get. So the calls come in, but I sift through them and I figure out which one do I need to respond to now, which one is urgent, which one. The messages come in, and I usually say if it's very important. Some people say I have like 5,000 messages on my WhatsApp that I've not responded to.
Oh my God.
And I know that some of them in there are from friends that probably sent me a message 3 months ago. All right?
It wasn't made for you.
It wasn't
made for you.
Right. But and I have so many groups. Some of my students are even there.
Oh my God.
But so I go to those specific ones and I manage them. But the rest I just like, and I tell them something. If it's very urgent, you will call me. If it's very urgent, you will call me. And if I see a missed call, I will call back. I always, 80% of the times I will call back.
Okay, thank you very much. It's been an amazing time, but we've run out of time, surprisingly. So, okay, there you have it. Make every minute of every day count. You do not have all the time in the world. So make sure you make every second count. 24 hours is actually a very little amount of time. So thank you so much for that, Jay. Thank you, Mr. Chuks. Hope you had an amazing time, because I did. Okay. Thank you for being with us today. Any information you have, questions, suggestions, hit us up on our social media platforms at CFFONTV. And for previous episodes of the show, check out Dominica Media Presents on YouTube. Thank you for being with us. I'm May, and you've been watching Catholic Faith Forum. Till next time, keep being saints in jeans and shirts. Peace out.